I plug into room?
Which one?
The green light comes on when you switch on the mic.
Yeah.
Comes on with it.
There is a green light, yeah.
Should be here somewhere. Yes, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
In the 1920s, the population in Pontus, which is now part of Turkey, were expelled, sent to Greece. But it was a blessing for everybody because it brought saints. Simple people who were saints. They were not glorified, not canonized, but they were already saints. Otherwise the saints would not have appeared to them. So they were talking to St. Nicholas and St. George, like neighbours, holy people. Most of them were illiterate. And I want to talk about a priest in particular called Father John, who didn't go to school. He was illiterate, but he taught himself to read fluently. In fact, it was a miracle that he could do this on his own as a young boy, maybe 13 or 14. And he sounded, could read. And anyway, he got married at 17. And he and his wife, they had three children. And one summer, he and his wife went to visit her village. And they went on foot, so they're going to walk there. And on the way, they met 3 angels, though the angels did not appear as angels. They appeared as ordinary people. And in fact, when they came up to John, later Father John, they just looked at him, but they didn't say anything. They carried on walking, and then when they came up with his wife called Helen, they then talked. They said, the village so-and-so needs a priest, and your husband is that priest. She said, well, why are you telling me? He said, because he won't do anything about it, but you will, because you're his wife. Mm-hmm. And so that's the reason. And there were 3 reasons that each angel gave a different reason. Oh, he said, your husband will be the priest, and also he'll serve for 30 years. How do you know this? How do you know? And then they said, well, because we're angels. And then they disappeared. That's the thought of world we should be living in, experiencing. This is relationship with God, which is very intimate. And it isn't just a ritual of coming to church and reading some prayers, which are everything like that is important. Of course, it's important, but to establish a relationship. I mean, how many times has St. George appeared to you, or me? Or maybe many times, but we're not aware of it. We're not so conscious that there is this other world. This is a world that is there for all of us. Little knowledge, but much experience. That's what we should aim for. Don't worry about the knowledge of whether you know something or not, but have the experience. So how do we experience things? Well, first of all thing is ispoved, confession. Without that we can't make any progress whatsoever, nothing. Regular ispoved, regular pričastia, Holy Communion. And I just want to mention, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit here. There was a rich Greek man who ran a shoe company, selling shoes, and this John, who they called him John when he became a priest, called him John the Merciful, the New Merciful, because he was like John the Merciful that we know of. And he asked the rich man to bring some shoes on Sunday for the poor children. They had no shoes, and there's snow outside. I mean, that's just the way of life. Anyway, he came and he brought some shoes, and everybody was pleased, and he was pleased that he could do something good like that. Toward the end of the liturgy, he was given Antidoron. And he took it, and when he took it, he looked at it, and it had blood on it. In other words, the consecrated wine, it was red. Oh, well, I can't eat that, you know. So he kept it until the end of the liturgy, and then he went to the priest, Father John. He said, "Look, look at this prosopon. There's blood on it." And Father John said, "There's nothing on it." "Well, there it is." He said, "No, it's not there. You can see it, but nobody else can." And he said, "Look, show it to somebody else." Is it, you know, has the chalice been spilt on the bread? No, it's not there. You begin to think, well, he said, "Well, you'll be generous with your shoes. You're helping the poor, so you've been given a sign. And the sign means that the Antidoron is communion. Is communion. It isn't just bread. It is a part of communion. In fact, it means, Antidoron means instead of gifts. So instead of the gifts, we take the bread. So that's why we should not give it to anybody who's not Orthodox. I'm not talking about your kids who are see you and baptized, but you know what I mean. It's very special, and I think at that time it was people didn't really understand that. Well, they didn't know. They just thought it was just bread after liturgy. You know, it's not. It's part of communion instead of the communion. That's quite scary, really. You have to be really careful, cautious with what we do with it. You know, cutting it up and distributing. I'm trying to find crumbs. It's what I find difficult is that the crumbs tend to be dust. So how do you take? I mean, I have to lick my finger literally and then clean the altar, holy tables, because they just, you know, because they're tiny particles, they sprinkle everywhere. I ask God for forgiveness because I'm sure I don't get everyone. I try, but that's it. This again is to do with our relationship with God. Now, St. John says, and now I'm going to jump ahead a bit, St. John of Tobolsk, which I've been reading recently, and he said that we should fashion ourselves in all actions and words on the will of God. The whole book is written about how to conform our wills the way we think to God's will. And we need to be working on it. We have to work on it all the time. The Helen, that was the name of the lady on the road who met the angel, she said that the Lord's will be done. Perfect. That's what we should be thinking and saying. But unfortunately, half the time we're scared, because we're scared of God's providence. Because God does allow evil. He's not the creator of it, but he does allow it to affect us if necessary. And we think, well, I can't do that because I need money, or whatever it is was worrying you in the secular world. It's there, and we have to trust that God is in control of everything. We don't. We want to. That's what I'm talking about. I believe that you have to have this personal relationship. And so you're not pessimists. We're not going around waiting for something bad to happen. But we should understand that it's from God. Nothing that happens in our lives is without God, especially if we say, "Thy will be done." We say "Otche nash" many times, maybe during the day. We say, "Thy will be done." Budit voliatoio. Thy will be done. And we have to believe that. When we do, this is the wonderful thing about it, is that we enter a different world. We do enter the world of the saints. So then we're not surprised if an angel appears. They don't always appear as angels as we understand them, the medieval concept, but they are there. So I'm going to be jumping about a little bit here. Everything is in God's providence. And there's Blessed Augustine. Those that are tried. Oh, sorry, I can't read my notes there. He talks about Lupus, who was a bishop, 4th century in England. Actually, I don't know where it was. Troyes. It was an ancient city. Well, Attila the Hun was on the warpath, and he was destroying villages and towns, and the bishop put on full vestments and went to meet him. And he met Attila the Hun, and he said, "Attila the Hun, you are the scourge of God. This is why you're here." And Attila was moved by that to the degree that he asked Lupus to join him in his campaigns. But Lupus said, "No, I'm not doing that. You're out to destroy people." No. Well, you didn't say no to Attila the Hun, not unless you were stupid. But he respected the bishop, and he didn't. He spared the city, which is called Troyes. It's not Troy. It's Troyes. Sorry, I haven't done enough research on that. Trusting in God's providence, and St. Augustine says that God uses unrighteous to correct. No, sorry. Yes, God uses unrighteous people to correct the righteous. So God allows sometimes people to bug us, if you want to put it mildly, because that's what's good for us. We would not take any notice otherwise. And we, trusting in God's providence, which is scary, but we need to do that, we enter a different world. Then we start having an experience of God. God isn't just some sort of cosmic force behind all actions. Is a personal friend. It's very personal. If you don't feel that, then you have to pray about that. Show me, Lord, Pakashimane Gosvati. Show me how I can, trust you. We have to learn to do that. Trusting in God, we enter a different world where truth is found, not under, it says not under, I don't know who said this now, not under the microscope or the end of a telescope, but in the heart. So there's a clue. We love God, we feel it in our heart, as you love a person. So it's not theoretical, not pure theology, if I can use that term. I just want to actually jump a little bit here, in which I'm putting myself at risk probably publicly, is that our diocese is setting up a school, psychology and pastoral theology, because he wants to educate us uneducated children, priests. The irony of it is that I had to attend one of these lectures 2 years or 3 years ago at a clergy conference, and I found that the priest who was giving the lecture, I won't give his name, if it's blasphemous, absolutely blasphemous, didn't trust in God's anything from God. To me this was shocking actually, and I challenged him and got upset everybody because I'm asking, he was promoting Freud. And well, actually the blasphemy is with Jung, because Jung said that man is imperfect, so Christ was imperfect. He couldn't be perfect because if he was a true man. This is nonsense, but people swallow this. The sad thing for me in this situation was that the young priests listening were very upset with me for daring to bring attention to Jung's blasphemy. Okay, so I didn't think go any further actually. I never heard any more, except that God is using the same person to run these courses. So here's the deal: I have to sign up for September and take this course in pastoral theology. Well, that's okay, but it's psycho-pastoral theology, which is nonsense. It underdoes everything, certainly what I believe. And I mention it to you because it's obligatory. You have to do it. There's no, I don't think I will, by God's grace. I won't be forced to go down to San Diego for a week's training. So, I think it'll keep me out. I'll probably be kept out of it actually, if Bishop's wise enough, because I'm not going to just let it happen, But anyway, God's will be done. So what's that about? Am I being punished? No, I don't see it like that. It's risky though, because the bishop could actually retire me because I'm a nuisance. I'm old and I'm a nuisance. So there is that risk. So let's put the theories into the test. Sorry, let's get. And there's another priest, Father Basil. I don't know. These are Greek villages and towns which I don't know. I can't commit to memory. He saw an angel, and the angel said to him, a man is going to come. No, yes, a monk is going to come to you. He's a hermit, recluse, and he's going to come to see you, and he needs communion. And he said, well, why are you telling me this? He said, well, you'll see. So, he waited, and this hermit came to the church on a Sunday for liturgy and went to commission, Ispavet, confession, and received communion. And then another angel again came to Father Basil, and said, this hermit will commune 3 times and then he will die. So you need to commune him. All right, okay, this is what I have to do. Anyway, he came, and then the angel said to him, after he had communed the 2nd time, he said, the 3rd time will be the last time, and you will enter paradise. And it will take place on Holy Friday in the evening. Well, talking about a different level of things. It's a different plane we're on. It's spiritual. Anyway, he came, received communion for the 3rd time, and reposed. Why Father Basil? Because he was humble, very humble priest. Almost, I think he was actually illiterate, except he could read the services, but otherwise he couldn't. So what's going on here? God's providence, using unrighteous people to chastise righteous people for their salvation, and hopefully for the person that's doing it. Different world. I'm sorry, I'm saying it's difficult to talk about this because I really don't know and understand it. But these Christians from Pontus lived in a different world, supernatural, totally different world from what we understand. And many of them, they were not all priests. I think there was 1 bishop, and the rest, 5 priests, and the rest were laity. And we're talking about years, not a couple of months. This is years. They would come, and they would. Most of them had the gift of healing, apart from being clairvoyant. These are holy people. Why aren't they canonized? Why aren't they glorified? Because people don't know anything about them. I've got a book here, 2 books actually, and it's just been produced. Well, not just, but pretty recent. And they've collected the lives of these people from other people that knew them and put them into books and say, these are saints. If you read their lives and you follow their teachings, what they recommend, you become a saint. That sounds really odd to say it like that, but that's really what they're saying. These are holy people. And other people say, well, they're just stupid peasants from Pontus. What do they know? Little knowledge, much experience. Such a good.